It's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So I thought, just come on, I've got three sort of updates, extra information to give you about three cases that we've been covering. And that is, of course, the mushroom murderess, evil Erin. Just a few things to tell you about what's happening there regarding appeals, etc. She really is like the TURD that won't flush, isn't she? She's appealing, and now it results that the prosecution are going to appeal as well, which, remember, we talked about this. They've said that before, and I hope it all results in her getting a longer sentence, not a shorter sentence. So we're going to have a little chat about that. We're then going to just have a little chat about Dezi Freeman. So there's been a very interesting video released. His brother is released. Gives us an idea of Dezi Freeman more as a person, not just a fugitive. And also his brother has given his, his insight or his opinion on what he thinks where Dezi might be now. Dezi Freeman, the double cop killer in Australia, of course, on the run from the police for quite a long time. But is he, though, or is he deceased somewhere? That's what we're going to talk about, and watch this video, family video that his brother has released. What else? And then last of all, we're going to have a little, again, not much of an update, just what's happening in this case of Jack and Lilly Sullivan, the two siblings, the little children that disappeared from their rural property. And this is in Nova Scotia in Canada. And we're just going to have a look at an update from the police. The police have given an update, which more or less is that they're going to be giving an update. And also Daniel, the stepfather, he likes to give interviews. He's quite enjoying the interviews and things. He's been on a YouTube channel giving his take on things. We're going to watch a little bit of that. Now, I will eventually I'd like to do a react to the whole video. But I haven't got time today at this moment anyway, maybe later on. And also, I need to contact the guy whose YouTube social media is appeared on and make sure he's okay with me using it under fair use. But I'm going to show little bits of it. But I'm planning, I haven't even watched the full interview myself yet. I'd like to watch the full interview, do a react on it. I mean, Daniel, the stepfather, unlike the mum, of course, who hasn't really, I think she did one interview and then we haven't really seen her apart from that. Daniel is quite enjoying giving his interviews, it feels like, or he's quite prepared to give his interviews, isn't he? And quite happy doing interviews, talking about the case, etc. So we're going to have a look at that as well. So, hello, lovely lurkers. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much. For everybody, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Hello to Replay Crew. Thank you so much for watching. And then the chat, there's not many people watching at the moment. I've caught everybody by surprise. Nobody's chatting. Nobody. That's unusual. That is unusual. My chatters normally love chatting. But anyway, hello. You may come on once I get into my spiel, you may come on to chat, and then you have to excuse me if I don't manage to say hello then. So yeah, thank you all for watching, liking, subscribing. Special thank you as always to my members. Special thank you to people who send super chats or buy Ko-fis, etc. Thank you for your emails. Thank you for your positive comments. Thank you for any positive way you support my channel. I appreciate every one of you. Thank you. So now then, let me take off the banners and so we can concentrate. So first of all, Erin. Oh my God, evil Erin. You know, as you know, this woman murdered her relatives, 3. She was convicted of murdering 3 relatives and attempting to murder a 4th. I'm not going to go through the whole story again, with death cap mushrooms in a beef Wellington. We put her in the hellhole because she was found guilty after a very long trial. She's received 33 years in prison, which isn't enough. But having said that, she'll be in her 80s before she comes out. Before she's got a possibility of coming out, because she's got 33 years with no possibility of parole. So, you know, she's not happy with that. She's appealing it. So the surviving victim has got to go through everything. Everyone's got to go through it all again, because Erin herself is thinking of, or I think she has lodged an appeal with a new sort of super lawyer, a human rights lawyer of all people, helping her out. And now the news, or the update, which was something that we were sort of expecting because the prosecution had been threatening it, hadn't they, is that they are going to appeal the shortness of her sentence, which, you know, she could end up with more years rather than less. So, yeah, there are now 2 appeals in the Erin Patterson mushroom murder case. What's going on? So the Victorian Director of Public Prosecutions, who has carriage of the Erin Patterson murder case, has chosen to appeal against what he considers to be an overly lenient sentence. And I don't think they would, if she didn't appeal, I don't think they would have appealed. I think this is what's going on here. Because this comes on the back of the news last week that the convicted murderer has instructed her lawyers to institute an appeal against her conviction. And these appeals could extend the life of the high-profile case, or it could all quickly fizzle out. Here's what's happening now and what comes next. Now, this is the video they did when she decided she was going to appeal. Let's have a little watch of that.
Erin Patterson appeared at Victoria's Supreme Court for a quick administrative hearing. She appeared via video link where her lawyers indicated they would be appealing her sentence. Today, her lawyers applied for an extension of time to appeal. That is something that is routinely granted. And indeed, today, Justice Christopher Beale granted that extension. That means Erin Patterson's lawyers now have an extra 28 days to lodge an appeal. Their original deadline had been looming. It was due to expire at midnight on Monday. Now, last month, Erin Patterson was sentenced to life in prison with a non-parole period of 33 years after she was found guilty of murdering her in-laws, Don and Gail Patterson, as well as Gail's sister, Heather Wilkinson, by serving them beef Wellingtons laced with death cap mushrooms. The jury also found her guilty of attempting to murder Ian Wilkinson. Now, as of yet, we don't know yet what the exact grounds for appeal will be. Those documents, of course, have not been lodged yet. But once that application is made, it will then be up to Victoria's Court of Appeal to decide whether or not to hold a hearing from Patterson and her lawyers to see whether or not they can mount a legal challenge. And if that hearing goes ahead and her appeal is successful, well, then we could ultimately be heading for a retrial.
Poor, you know, imagine a retrial. Oh, God, it was bad enough going through it the first time. And that's for us, never mind poor sort of victims. Or Ian, particularly, Ian Wilkinson, the survivor. Hi, David. Oh, you know, I think there's some shenanigans going on here. So basically what it is they're talking about appealing. So now the prosecution's appealed. You know, she could easily end up with more years. So it may be that they come to, you know, it could all fizzle out, as they say. They come to an agreement that the prosecution says, well, we won't appeal if you don't appeal. You know, you should be lucky with the sentence you've got. It's only 11 years each life she took. So it may all not come to anything. That's the important thing as well to remember. So, yeah, without going into the whole sort of story, it was a life sentence with a non-parole period of 33 years. So she will not be eligible to apply for parole until 2056, when she is in her 80s. So the law typically gives both the prosecution and the defence 28 days after the sentence to lodge any appeal. This period would have expired on Tuesday, the October the 7th, but both legal teams have sought an extension of a further 28 days under a new process that came into operation on a trial basis at the end of last month. This allows for a total of 56 days, 28 days plus the extended 28 days, if the initial notice of appeal is filed within the first 28 days. And this is what both teams are doing now, but for very different reasons. So Patterson's appeal, she has the new team of barristers, high-profile lawyer, human rights lawyer Julian McMahon. We looked at him, and this new guy that I didn't know, well-known criminal law academic and writer Richard Edney. Does it go into him? Oh, this is a flag to him. I don't know who he is. Never mind. Never mind. So that's her appeal. The judge will decide if there is sufficient merit in the appeal courts, if there's sufficient grounds or reasons to warrant a full hearing of the Court of Appeal. It may not come to that. So the judge could grant such leave to Patterson to appeal against her conviction on any or all of three grounds. Could be either the verdict of the jury is deemed unreasonable and not supported by the evidence. I can't see how she can appeal on that basis. Just can't see it. Second grounds could be that the trial judge insufficiently directed the jury's attention to the defence case in the summing up. And this is highly unlikely to be raised in the Patterson appeal. I mean, Justice Beale, he was very fair to Erin, I think, throughout it. And the third grounds could be where there's been a miscarriage of justice in the course of the trial. So typically this argument is based upon a defence submission that something has been allowed into evidence by the trial judge which should not have been introduced. One can strongly speculate that this is where the defence's appeal submission will proceed. I don't think she's got a leg to stand on, do you? I mean, how exactly she should think herself lucky, David. How can she say there was a miscarriage of... I honestly do not... Well, the thing is, legal things are always tricky, aren't they? You never know. They might come up with some load of rubbish. But we'll see. But I think, she might shoot herself in the foot here, because at the end of the day, the prosecution has appealed, or probably will appeal. So they need to submit that the sentence is obviously and not merely arguably overly lenient. 3 life sentences. The prosecution will argue that a 33-year non-parole period, which is not unusual in cases of single homicides, was clearly inadequate. And it says it's highly improbable the defence will cross-appeal the severity of the sentence, given it is at the lower end of what a triple murderer could have expected to receive. Now, do you remember Mr. Beale said, Justice Beale, the judge, he said that he was giving her this 33-year non-parole sentence because he felt she would have to be in solitary confinement all the time while she was in prison. So he felt that was difficult. Diddums, poor old... do you just think, yeah, solitary confinement is not nice. Of course it isn't. Don't murder 3 people then. If you don't like the idea of solitary confinement, you don't like the idea of prison, don't kill 3 vulnerable people and try and kill a 4th. Honestly, I have no sympathy for her whatsoever. I don't care if she's on her own for the rest of her life. You know, those poor people and the horrendousness and sort of manipulatory way she killed them, and the deceit, the lies. I think it, you know, because I said it at the time, it's too light, that sentence. She should never see daylight again, because you know who's not going to see daylight again? Don, Gail, Heather. They're never going to see daylight again. And Ian is left to live with the fact that he is a survivor. He's left to live with the trauma of losing his wife, his best friends. He's, you know, the trauma of knowing that somebody tried to murder him. So, yeah, I couldn't give a flying fig about Erin being on her own. You know, she deserves to be. She deserves to be taken away from society after what she did. So that's the situation as it is. So just to tell you, now it may, as I say, may fizzle out. Nobody might end up appealing in the end. You know, it's possible nobody will appeal. We just see what happens. But as always, let me know what you think in comments. Do you think Erin should appeal? Do you think she should have a shorter sentence? Or do you think she should have a longer sentence? I mean, she's going to get life, whatever, but, you know, even her own lawyer at the time, didn't he, Colin Mandy, I suppose he's been sacked now, even he said at the time it's got to be a life sentence. So the question was always, how long would it be, and would it be without parole or not? And in his wisdom, Justice Beale decided it should be 33 years and then the possibility of parole, because he was concerned that she would be in solitary confinement for most of the time. So she should get, you know, a chance at parole. Suppose it's give her something to look forward to, some little chink of light. But, you know, personally, I don't care. I just want to see the back of this woman. Won't care if I never had to look at her face again. I never had to see another article about her. You're talking about a woman that deliberately planned murdering elderly, vulnerable people who cared about her, who prayed for her, because she'd lied to them that she had cancer. She prepared that food knowing it was going to kill them. She watched them chew every mouthful. She let them pray for her because she'd lied and said she had cancer. Who knows how she said goodbye to them that day? Did she give them a hug? Did she give them a kiss? Was she smirking inside knowing that they were dead people walking? That what was in their bodies was going to, within 24 hours, they were going to be seriously ill. And these people, the 3 that died, and Ian himself, who didn't die, they went through agony. Could you imagine being poisoned, diarrhea, vomiting, like extreme pain, agony, having to be put into a coma, knowing that, you know, their organs died inside them. So let's not, you know, this is not a crime of passion, you know, losing your temper. She didn't lose her temper and get mad. She planned it coldly. You know, she thought she was cleverer than the police. Super sleuth. The other people in her true crime Facebook group called her super sleuth. Exactly, David. Shocking crime. I don't, you know, it's, you know, crime, murder is always bad, but, you know, this is the coldest blooded murder you can imagine. Planned, vulnerable people that cared about her and tried to help her. It's terrible. And to attack vulnerable people is always worse, isn't it? You know, children, the elderly, people who, you know, they just had no clue, these people, because they were good people. Anyway, you know what I think. So just wanted to let you know, just wanted to keep you up to date on what's happening there. Now we're going to look at Dezi Freeman. Now, Dezi Freeman, of course, is the fugitive, or is he? I think he's probably deceased. And you'll see in this video, going to watch, his brother shares my thoughts as well. You know, is he deceased or is he still alive? So this guy, Dezi, he is, you know, one of these sovereign citizens. He doesn't agree with the state. He hates the police. He just, you know, and he's got various reasons for it. He's a little bit of an anti-hero amongst a lot of people in Australia. So this is Australia, where Dezi has, the police turned up at his door to arrest him for historic sex offences. They had a search warrant to search his property, and he wasn't having any of that. He hates the police, and he got in a shootout with them. He killed 2 police officers and seriously injured another one. So, you know, you can imagine that didn't go down very well with the police themselves. He then went on the run. He ran out of the property. He's armed and dangerous, and he hasn't been seen since. Now, this was quite a long time ago. What date was it? Let's have a look. You know, as I've said, this reminds me of a Travis Decker situation. Let's see. When was it? Just trying to get the... So this is in a place called Porepunkah in Australia, which is at the base of densely wooded mountains in the Australian Alps. It's home to around 1,000 people, so it's a very small place, and it's loved for its wineries, bushwalking, and a peaceful atmosphere. Well, it wasn't very peaceful. When was this that happened? So it was back in August, end of August, that this happened. So, you know, it's a long, long time that this guy has been missing. And personally, I don't think he's alive, because I think he would have been found, because there's been no sightings, nothing. And the police have been going around and sort of rounding up all his acquaintances, etc. But, you know, nothing's been found. So personally, I think he's likely dead. And now it turns out this is what his brother thinks as well. So let's have a look at this little video.
It's the never-before-seen look at Dezi Freeman, family man.
Okay, we're at Jimmy's house. Going to see the new baby, Ari, for the first time.
He and wife Amalia meeting the newborn son of his brother Jimmy and late wife Danelle.
Crikey, look at this little guy. Isn't he a beauty?
Jimmy, James Philby, making the family videos public online, revealing the years before the cop killer's descent into anti-authority extremism.
Oh, up on the slopes here, Mount Buffalo, at Dezi's backyard, I gotta say that's the softest snow I ever skied on in my life.
56-year-old Freeman has been on the run since he shot and killed 2 police in a raid gone wrong in August. But Philby, seen here with Dezi and family, has now revealed he believes his brother is dead.
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it, when you see, you know, this guy, Dezi, you know, he's murdered 2 policemen, and, you know, that is not a good thing to do, is it? Whatever you think, don't think about the police. They were just there doing their job, and had a search warrant that they were given to execute, and they got executed. So, you know, it's said that maybe he's got some mental health issues. And as I say, a lot of people I know sort of, you know, because I've noticed from comments on my channel, a lot of people think he's great and, you know, being anti-state and this, that and the other. I don't share those views. I mean, I don't want anything to have happened to Dezi. I think there's probably some mental health influences in here. You know, this is a guy who was on benefits, you know, so, you know, this, the thing is this, you know, maybe we'll get into this one day in a video. The state is bad in some ways. It can, but you know, I'm sorry, nobody can let me know that we could live without the state. We can't. We have to monitor the state. We have to make sure that it doesn't do things, you know, that it shouldn't, etc. But at the end of the day, the state is not only there for bad reasons. I mean, you know, it benefits, controlling law and order. I just want you to think for a minute, you know, if there was no law and order, you cannot presume that everybody will be law abiding. You know, have you read Lord of the Flies or seen the film? You know, with how people revert. So yeah, maybe you've got 100 people and 90 of those people are good and would respect, you know, people's property or people's safety, etc., and wouldn't do anything wrong whether there was a police force or not. But you've got 10% of people who cannot be relied on to leave other people alone. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's just someone comes round to your house and just says, oh, I like your telly's bigger than mine. I want a bigger telly. I'm going to have yours. And there's no police to phone that when they come in and decide they're going to take it, maybe threatening you with a gun or a knife. You know, you can't do without the state completely. You just can't. But anyway, you know, that's why this state was created. Don't live like the Wild West anymore, do we? And you know, there are bad things. Of course there are. But, you know what I mean, don't you? Anyway, I'm sure you'll all leave me your comments.
I hope he has peace now. I imagine his last hours were cold, lonely, fearful, adding, what Des did was wrong, but he's my brother and I miss him. Philby's message was made public by pro-Russia activist Simeon Boykov, the anti-authority, anti-government YouTuber.
And the brother said that Dezi Freeman was a subscriber.
Boykov, self-exiled and campaigning from here inside Russia's consulate in Sydney, accepts that he may have inspired Freeman's anti-police politics, but refuses to apologise and denies advocating any violence.
But of course, I don't encourage, and I never have encouraged any police killings or violence against police ever.
Philby also writing.
No, but, you know, and yeah, he's not going to be sat there and saying, oh, yeah, go and kill a policeman. But so, you know, the thing is, again, if you've read Animal Farm, you know, it starts off all the good at communism and things like that, all starts off as a good idea. But there'll always be someone who'll rise to the top because most people don't really want to be bothered with leadership and all that kind of thing. Most people, they just want to get up in the morning, they go to work, they get their wages at the end of the month and they do good things at the weekends. Families are important. You know, they don't want to be leading politically. So the people that do rise up, they've normally got like a Napoleon complex or something. So, you know, personally, I can't see how it could ever work without a state. Just can't see it. You know, people want their benefits as well. You know, I've noticed a lot of people, you know, complain about the state. A lot of, you know, they take their child benefit though, and they take, you know, their universal credit or their whatever. You know, that's fine. And I believe in benefits. I'm not saying I don't believe in benefits, but I'm not anti-state. I'm not a sovereign citizen. You know, at the end of the day, you need your rights as a citizen as well. You can't have one without the other. So I can't see how you can have one without the other. I just can't see it. You know, you either have to accept it's like just in life in general. You know, you think about, like, just take an example of maybe a friend or, you know, a partner or whatever. You don't agree with everything that they do or say or whatever, but you have to accept the good with the bad. You know, if you want to be in a relationship with that person, you have to accept their failings as well as their good things. You know, you might try and change them. You know, the things they do that drive you crazy, like the state, you try to change them. You know, you've got to do that. You've got to be vigilant and not let the state just get away with anything. But, you know, if you, what was Dezi planning on doing? I mean, you cannot in this day and age, unless he went to live on a kibbutz somewhere or something, you can't just say, oh, that's it, I'm not having anything to do with the state, you know. And he took his benefits, of course. It's what he was living on.
That Freeman would want to be buried on Mount Buffalo and never found by police, but we need closure.
I think closure would be so they know what happened to him.
Police just as keen to know as well. Chris Reason, 7 News.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that again, actually. But yeah, and the other thing, the Australian Russian, as you call him, David, he's in the Russian consulate, streaming from inside the Russian consulate, for fuck's sake. You know, in a Russian state. Oh, I just like, what is he saying? He's anti the Australian state, or is he anti the Russian state as well? Is he anti-states in general? I don't know.
It's the never-before-seen look at Dezi Freeman, family man.
Okay, we're at Jimmy's house. Going to see the new baby, Ari, for the first time.
He and wife Amalia meeting the newborn son of his brother Jimmy and late wife Danelle.
Crikey, look at this little guy. Isn't he a beauty?
Jimmy, James Philby, making the family videos public online, revealing the years before the cop killer's descent into anti-authority extremism.
Oh, up on the slopes here in Mount Buffalo at Dezi's backyard, I gotta say that's the softest snow I ever skied on in my life.
56-year-old Freeman has been on the run since he shot and killed 2 police in a raid gone wrong in August. But Philby, seen here with Dezi and family, has now revealed he believes his brother is dead. I hope he has peace now. I imagine his last hours were cold, lonely, fearful, adding, what Des did was wrong, but he's my brother and I miss him. Philby's message was made public by pro-Russia activist Simeon Boykov, the anti-authority, anti-government YouTuber. And
the brother said that...
So he's got a massive picture of Putin that he's just took out of his car, but he's anti-authority. For fuck's sake. Anti-authority except for Putin. Here's my great big portrait of Putin. Oh, for God's sake, you couldn't make it up, could you? These people are Fruit Loops. I'm sorry, they're Fruit Loops. You know, if he's, what? He's anti-state, anti-authority, and he's got a massive picture of Putin in his car or whatever, or hanging up in his office, in the consulate, in the Russian consulate where he's sat all safe. Just ridiculous. Pro-Putin propagandist, but how can that mean you're anti-state? You know, Putin is, you know, he's got an iron fist on the state in Russia. Having said that, the Russians in general love him. You know, I've had a lot of Russian students, they've got nothing bad to say about him. So I always ask about what they think of him and that. Maybe they're not, maybe they're not allowed to say anything, I don't know. But no, they always speak very positively about Putin. They never say anything bad. I've never had one of my students, and I've had a lot of Russian students and Ukrainian students, before the war, not now really, very positive about Putin. So he's a pro-Putin propagandist, according to this, but he's anti-state. What? Does that make sense? Is it just me? I'm in the parallel universe again. Do you know, it's like, what? Just, oh my God. But that was very poignant, wasn't it? What Dezi's brother said, that he's like, because he thinks he's deceased. I think he's deceased as well, bless him. I say bless him. I mean, he has murdered 2 people, but, I wouldn't have wanted anything bad to happen to him. But saying, his last few hours he was probably alone, and it would have all been horrible. So, just on a human level, I do feel for him for that. And I feel for the rest of his family. It seems to me that Dezi came from a big family who cared about him. Maybe he just lost a grip, a mental grip. But this guy, oh my God. Look at him. Anti-state, anti-establishment. Whatever. So have you ever seen a person, see this picture? I mean, it's not even funny really, but it is. If you didn't laugh, you'd bloody cry. Look at him. He's anti-state. Oh my God. Oh, dear me, dear me. Yes, David. These students that I've had that are Russian, they're scared, you never know who's listening, dear. Oh, dear, oh me. This world is really crazy. It is completely crazy. Look at him. Oh, he's got a medal here. What was that for, I wonder? Bit like, Oh, bloody hell. So really what they're saying, so Dezi was a subscriber on his channel, apparently. So it's all his fault. It's all his fault. Oh, God. I do like these hats, though. I used to have one of them, actually. They really keep your head warm.
Cuba.
And the brother said that Dezi Freeman was a subscriber.
Boykov, self-exiled and campaigning from here inside Russia's consulate in Sydney, accepts that he may have inspired Freeman's anti-police politics, but refuses to apologise and denies advocating any violence.
But of course, I don't encourage, and I never have encouraged any police killings or violence against police ever.
Philby also writing that Freeman would want to be buried on Mount Buffalo and never found by police, but we need closure.
I think closure would be so they know what happened to him.
Police just as keen to know as well. Chris Reason, 7 News.
Yeah, medal for eating pie. Anyway, so that's the update, if you like, on Dezi. I hope they do find him because, like, for his, joking aside, for his brother, his family, his kids, of course, he's got children, older children, his wife, it's a horrible situation, isn't it? So, but I'll tell you what, the irony of that, of saying he's anti-state, anti-establishment, and there's got a massive picture of Putin. It's like, you couldn't make it up, could you? That's how crazy this world is now. Has it always been so crazy? But we would never have got to hear about anyone like that without social media, etc. But as it always, there's probably always been people. And what's he doing in the consulate? Why is he in the consulate there? I mean, he's obviously a propagandist. He's probably employed by the Russians. He is Russian, for propaganda in Australia to wind up citizens like Dezi Freeman and that. That's probably what his job is. I don't even know why he's there in the consulate. Very strange. But you know what? It's a strange old world, isn't it? Okay, so that was the second thing I just wanted to give you an update on. So now we're going to have if you can call it an update. Let me put, actually, I just need to put some windows down. No, not that one, because I haven't done that yet. I've done that. Put the, oh. Done that one. Okay, so where am I? So this is a post that was on Facebook by the Canadian Gothic, whoever they are, in the Jack and Lilly Uncensored discussion and updates. Actually, I think I might join that group. I'll do it in a minute. So apparently this was released on the 4th of October, said there's an update expected in the search for Jack and Lilly. So the Royal Canadian Mounted Police said they will provide an update next week regarding the work of human remains detection dogs brought in to search for missing siblings Jack and Lilly. So remember, this was only last week that they were brought in, and we were saying, why is it taken so long? Because Jack and Lilly, in case people don't know, this is a brother and sister who disappeared from their rural property in Nova Scotia in Canada. Here they are, Jack and Lilly. And they were supposedly playing outside. Their mum, their stepdad, and their little sister baby were inside in bed. And apparently 1 minute they could hear them, then they couldn't hear them, and they disappeared. So the 4 and 6-year-old were reported missing from their home on Gaylord Road in Lansdowne Station 5 months ago. And this 5 months. I mean, these little ones, they're not going to still be alive, are they? If they're out there, if they haven't been abducted, they can't be alive, because they can't have stayed alive alone all that time. So despite extensive ground and air searches, there's been no sign of the children. Police confirm that cadaver dogs have recently been deployed as part of the ongoing investigation, but have not released details on when or where the searches took place. They continue to describe the case as a highly active and intensive effort, and are asking anyone with information to come forward. However, as of now, the date, time, location, and format for the media update is still undecided. So that's this week. There'll be this update, but we haven't been notified yet. As they say, we don't know the date, the time, the location, and the format of the media update. All they've announced is that they will provide an update this week. So that's the first thing I wanted to tell you. We'll look forward to that. Of course, as soon as I know when it is or what it is, I will we're going to follow this case. Is this members only, David? It's not members only, is it? This, I didn't make it members only, did I? I know, it's only me and you. There are more people watching, but they obviously don't want to come into the chat, which is fine. There's lots of lovely lurkers, or there might even be loathsome lurkers, but anyway, there's quite a few people watching. So now then, I haven't made this members only, did I? You've made me worry now. I don't think I did. So then the other news in this case is that Daniel, who's the stepdad, again, let me just put some windows down. He's appeared on a podcast within the last couple of days. Let me show you the podcast. It's a YouTuber I've never heard of. So this is the DT show. This is actually Twitter, or X. It's only had 110 views, which I'm sure if you put it on a YouTube channel, you'd get a lot more views than that, because, you know, people are invested in this case. They want to hear what Daniel's got to say. Daniel, of course, the stepdad, he has passed apparently a lie detector test. So I just want to give this guy from Drunk Turkey Show, DT Show, his sort of kudos. He's had, you know, his credit, because it's his interview. It's a very long interview. So I won't be going through the whole interview. We'll be listening to some of it. I need to get in touch with the guy. In fact, I'll follow him. I need to get in touch with the guy and make sure he's okay about me replaying it under fair use. And then I would do a react on the whole video. So I think this is what I find strange about this whole thing. I don't, you know, the police have said nobody's a suspect. Nobody's been exonerated. Nobody's a suspect. It's one of them cases. It's very strange the way that Daniel is all over podcasts and interviews and what have you. But the mother, Malaya, she disappeared the following day, didn't she? The very next day after these little ones disappeared, she was gone from that property. That does seem strange to me, because I can't see that after just one day of searching, you would leave. You know, you'd want to be there when these children were found, wouldn't you? Your children. So they are her children. They're not Daniel's biological children. They're his stepchildren. But she's been very quiet, hasn't she? Whereas Daniel's been talking to anyone who'll listen to him, really. And that can mean anything, can't it? You know, we don't know if Daniel had anything to do with it. It's passed, as I say, a lie detector test. You know, what else can you say? The police have not named him as a suspect. So we have to take that at face value. So it's an interesting interview. Well, the bits that I've seen of it. So you can watch it on there, or I am going to do a react on it. But let's just hear a little bit of it so you get an idea. I mean, Daniel, you know, maybe he does have nothing to hide. Maybe that's why he's on all these podcasts. I
think Meadow may be woken up when she's actually moving.
Gotcha.
But it is possible, Daniel. I mean, anything's possible. This case is just an absolute circus, so anything's possible.
And so, so she wakes up. You wake up. What's the first thing that you do?
First thing I do when I wake up is, I mean, Malaya's right beside me, and she says, "Do you like hear the kids?" And then I listen for a few seconds. I said, "No, I don't hear them." So first thing I do is when I don't hear them, I get up and I, you know, get dressed, you know, and me and her make our way out to the kitchen. And this thing I still find odd to this day, I told investigators this, is Malaya didn't look in Jack and Lily's room when we went out and walked to the kitchen, right?
Okay.
So I found that odd because we both walked up together up the hallway to the kitchen. And then I poked my head I looked into the living room, didn't see the kids. I ran back to the room, looked underneath their beds and stuff, didn't see them. So then we made our way outside, right? Malaya stood in the kitchen when I was running like a moron through the house looking for the kids. And we made our way outside, you know, we got through the fence, and then we're standing right in front of Mom's RV, and she asked me, should I call 911?
He says some funny things, you know, like he said, I was running like a moron through the house, just, you know, things that don't sit well. But as I've said before about a lot of these cases, I don't know what Daniel's normally like. Do you know what I mean? So I have nothing to compare it with. Is he behaving like he normally would? Does he normally talk like that? You know, or is it unusual the way he's talking? No, I just don't know. So he certainly doesn't seem to be frightened of talking. I think generally what we can see for when he does talk is he seems to think Malaya has got something to do with it, knows something about it. Just that's the feeling you get from him. Maybe she tried to get the kids away from him. I just don't know. We literally, this case, as much as we might feel uneasy about this, that or the other, there is nothing that we know. And of course, same for the police. And, you know, sometimes people are like Daniel and go on loads of podcasts and things. Like Sebastian Rogers' dad, Seth, he was like that, you know, which always sat uneasy with me. Now, he's not doing it so much now, is he? But, you know, in the beginning when Sebastian Rogers first disappeared, Seth was on every bloody YouTube channel, wasn't he? He was talking to anyone who'd listen to him. And then he stopped because he started getting some sort of negativity coming back. And so he stopped doing it, didn't he? And now he's got his own YouTube. Oh, that'll be it for Daniel. Soon he'll probably get his own YouTube channel and set up his members and this, that, and the other. You know, you just think it all feels weird. But at the end of the day, there are 2 little kids that are missing. Where are they? Are they safe? I hope Malaya has taken them somewhere, you know, or arranged for them to be taken somewhere. Because if those kids are in those woods, they cannot be alive. It's impossible for them to be alive.
Right? That's, you know, kind of instinctual. You want to do that, right?
Right.
Because we don't hear them out in the yard. We never seen them in the house. We don't see them in the backyard. I didn't know if Mom was even at home or not, right? Because I thought she might have went with my Uncle Ron.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Yeah, because he lives on that property. I think it's his mum's property, or anyway, his mum lives there as well. She didn't see anything. They've all been polygraphed, though. His mum's been polygraphed, and Malaya's been polygraphed. They've all passed the polygraph. So it's a total mystery. It's like they've just been beamed up by aliens or something. Very strange.
She's on the phone with 911. I run up into the woods where the cabins are and look in the cabins, look around the area. Didn't see them. I'm screaming and yelling, Lilly and Jack, Lilly and Jack, Lilly and Jack. And then I make my way down. There's a hill behind Mom's RV. I make my way down, and Malaya's standing there. I'm not sure if she's still on the phone with 911. She might have been on speakerphone. Kind of looks like she was messaging, but she might have been on speakerphone with the, you know, the dispatch. And so I say, I'm jumping in the car. So I ran inside. You know, I tried to go into the front door. Door's locked. Ran through the back door, the back sliding door, got into the house, grabbed the keys off the end table, because there was 2 sets of keys, right? And then I didn't take my phone. Well, I don't remember taking my phone because there's no service out there anyway, not like I can use it. So I left my phone on the end table. I'm pretty sure I left it on the end table. Investigators would know that for 100%. So grabbed the keys, ran out to the Nissan Pathfinder, and that's when I started to search the dirt roads and the culverts, right? So I went up Lansdowne Road, and I already told investigators this, but that blanket was not there in that tree.
Which direction were you
heading? That would be when I'm coming out the end of the driveway.
So that's interesting. So, of course, they found Lily's blanket. Now, the investigators did. He's saying there that blanket was not there in the tree at that time. So it's like it's been left there afterwards? You know, it all does feel strange, this, I think. So he's saying Lily's blanket was not in the tree. But later, the police did find Lily's blanket and they took it off for forensic testing, but they haven't come back with any, they haven't told us any results. Maybe that's what they'll come out with this week when they do an update. They did find Lily's blanket, or certainly pieces of it, and they found a child's footprint, didn't they, or a boot print? Oh, I don't know. It's just awful, this case, I think. It's a real mystery.
And we're going right toward Lansdowne Road, over the tracks and then hanging a hard right.
So you were coming the direction that would have been visible to you, and you didn't see it.
Yeah, I'd be going right out of the end of the driveway. I take a right. I'm going up the road.
Across the railroad tracks and then the right up of the dirt road.
Yeah, that's Lansdowne Road where the blanket was found.
All right. So when you're running around and as you're going outside and you're looking, that gate outside, is it always open? Was it unlocked? Was it locked?
Sometimes it's open.
Was it open that morning?
I do not remember that. I don't remember I don't remember.
Okay. And so you come
It's
around.
not hard. It's not hard to open up gates anyway. They're just slow.
There's a lot he doesn't remember, isn't there? As well. I mean, would you? Of course, you would think you would remember if the gate was locked, because when your kids had gone missing, wouldn't you just go straight to the gate and think, oh, have they got out the gate? And then you'd either think, oh, they can't get out because the gate's locked, or you think, oh no, the gate's not locked, they might have got out. So strange that he doesn't remember that, but as I say, we know nothing in this case, really.
I always forget to close. My mom always reminds me, but they're just a slide and bolt lock, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing hard about those locks at all.
Well, maybe not, but I'm just kind of curious because if you can unlock it and open it, but if you're on the other side of the fence and you're small, can you reclose it?
Yeah, you can. You can. All you do is just pull the fence close to you and then close it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so
I'd like to see that lock, because the other thing is, could somebody have got in? Or, I mean, could the kids have got out? How low is the padlock, the bolt? Is it too high up for the kids to reach, or could the kids have unbolted it and gone out? I'd like to see that. I can't decide about this guy at all. No offense, Daniel, if you're watching, which you may be, because he probably watches quite a few podcasts about this case, but just can't get my head around him. But no, I don't mean for it. I don't feel one way or another about
so
Daniel.
may not be a clue there. So you're out there searching in the woods. How long before law enforcement arrived?
I was told 12 minutes.
Okay.
But then when I looked at the documentation and, asked questions and dug further, it was 22 minutes, I do believe.
And were you at the house when they arrived?
I was actually, when they were arriving, I was actually coming back to the house in the car. And I couldn't park in the driveway because RCMP just stopped in the yard, right?
Okay.
Is they were just starting to walk down and talk to Malaya. So what I did is I parked the white Nissan Pathfinder, because that's the car Malaya owns, the 2017 Nissan white Pathfinder. And I parked over on the right-hand side of the marsh, going toward Lansdowne Road. There's a marsh that's right beside the house there. Probably can pull that up on the map. There's a little driveway that's right beside it. It's about 100 feet from the house.
Okay. Around here?
Yeah, that's actually the marsh. And there's a little driveway right on the left-hand side right there. Yep. That's where I parked in the white Nissan Pathfinder.
Okay.
And then when I jumped out of the car, the RCMP yelled at me from in the yard, right? Because they could see me clearly.
Yeah.
And they said, Daniel, don't go back into the woods. So at that point, I didn't go back into the woods. I walked over to the house and I went down and I was talking to my mother, because the RCMP just, officers just sworn Malaya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they asked you to stay there. They asked her to stay there. Did they look into your Pathfinder or the Pathfinder? Did they search it?
No, they didn't at all. No.
At any point?
Not that I know of.
Now, was this the vehicle that went with Malaya? Like, I think it was towed later.
So strange, because they haven't looked at his car, he says, at all since. You think the car would be examined, surely. Anyway, look, I can't stay on much longer. We've got to go, but I'm gonna contact the guy and see if he's okay with me doing, playing the whole interview. If you want to, of course, the interview's here for you to watch if you want to watch it on your own or whatever. But I'm going to, I think this will be an interesting interview to go through together. And I'm not trying to say that Daniel had anything to do with this. I literally don't have any feeling one way or the other. I feel just as likely that he might have had something to do with it as that he didn't, but he passed his lie detector test. So, that means a lot. I mean, people do sometimes pass them even though they're lying. So it's not 100. That's why they're not admitted in court, isn't it? It's not 100%. You know, so we've got to remember that. But it's one of them, isn't it? But yeah, so I will be back. I will hopefully, this gentleman will say it's okay for me to use his video for fair use. Good for him for having the interview. Good for Daniel for doing the interview. Straight, you know, Malaya has just disappeared off the face of the earth, it feels like, whereas Daniel seems to be sort of quite happy to you know, talk and that. And is that a positive sign as far as innocence is concerned, or a negative sign? I don't know, literally do not know. But it'd be interesting to see what comes through this week as well. Like the police are supposedly going to be doing an update, so we'll look out for that. Just wanted to tell you about it all. I'm going off, and thank you for watching. There's quite a few of you watching, but only David was brave enough to come into the chat. Am I that scary? Am I that scary? Anyway, I'll see you really soon in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Adios. Thank you.